Luca, characteristics of life. Cells became ever more complex until they included all the large biological molecules, including both RNA and DNA, and the enzymes needed to maintain and use them. This led to what is called last universal common ancestor, Luca, the organism from which all life on Earth descended. The common features of life on Earth are so profound that all life must have evolved from a single ancestor. A universal common ancestor is at least 10 to the power of 2,860 times more probable than having multiple ancestors. Tina Say. Here are some of the common features of all life on Earth that make a universal ancestor a logical necessity. All life on Earth uses the identical universal genetic code, basis for DNA and RNA, amino acids for proteins, DNA and RNA polymerases, mRNA, tRNA, ribosomes, ATP as the currency of energy, lipid bilayers, cell membranes, cellular division, ATP synthase, sodium and potassium ion pumps, L-isomers of amino acids, glucose as an energy source, and much more. All life, from the smallest amoeba to the largest redwood tree, share the features listed on the prior slide. None of these features of life on Earth had to be exactly this way. There were alternative ways to solve each problem. The only reasonable explanation that all life uses the exact same molecular features is that those features were in place before life branched out. They would not have been shared if they were developed independently at a later time. A cladogram shows the relationship of organisms. The closer they are on the chart, the closer they resemble each other. It's important to have a definition for what is life and what is not. These are the properties used to define something as being alive: organization and order, adaptations, response to the environment, regulation, energy processing, growth and development, reproduction. All life is organized into fundamental units called cells. A cell is a membrane-bound structure containing organic molecules. They are microscopic in size. Cells are the smallest unit that can be considered a life form. Therefore, they are referred to as the building blocks of life. Populations of organisms that are alive today have adapted to changing environments. Adaptation is a characteristic of life. It is not an individual organism that adapts. It is the passing of naturally selected traits to offspring that drives this change. Living organisms must be able to recognize their surroundings and respond to them. For instance, moving away from something hot, or moving towards something that is nutritious. Living organisms must be able to regulate their internal conditions. This is called maintaining homeostasis. They must be able to keep their internal systems separate and different from the external environment. Humans must maintain certain constant conditions inside their bodies even when things change in their environment. All living things require energy to carry out the functions of life. They must be able to obtain energy and process it to be used in their biological functions. Animals process food, chemical energy, and convert it into matter and work, mechanical energy. Some bacteria and all plants can convert light energy into chemical energy. Eukaryotic organisms are born from parents, forming a new generation and eventually developing into a mature form. At maturity, organisms are capable of producing their own offspring. A life cycle is a series of stages through which an organism passes. Living things must be able to pass on their traits to future generations of organisms. This creation of offspring can be asexual, single organisms reproducing on their own, or sexual, requiring the mixing of genetic material.